Good evening and welcome to the 2024 Burleson County Fair Swine Show. We just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Without your support and our hard work, this wouldn't be possible. I would like to say a special thanks to our fair director over swine, Mr. Ed Savage, as well as our two co-chairmen, Mr. Justin Rushka and Jason Neinendorf. If we could give them a round of applause. Before we get started, I do have a couple of announcements. We changed up the order of events a little bit. We're still going to do our regular classes 1 through 6, but before we do the championship drive, we are going to do PeeWee Showmanship. That way, if our pigs coming back for the drive can have a couple minutes to rest. So it'll be classes, PeeWee Showmanship, the championship drive, and then junior, intermediate, and senior showmanship. And then our random drug test pig for tonight is out of class 2 pig placing 9th. And then our big announcement, please listen. If your kid gets pulled into one of the pens across, only one parent is allowed. If we see a pig breeder, if we see anybody, we will warn you, but after so many warnings, you will get kicked out. And then pretty much we're just going to go ahead and start. So if you could please rise for the national anthem. Okay, let's get this pig show started. We're going to call back. Pay attention to your back numbers. I need class 1 back numbers that are odd to the show ring. Odd numbers. This is your first call. Odd numbers, class 1. Sorry if I sounded mean. That was kind of... about the judge's bio. I think I left it in the office. Will you see if it's there if you're not busy? Thank you. I was. Pig exhibitors, please pay attention to your back numbers. They need to match the pig that you're bringing into the show ring. The ear tag is on the bottom of your number. At this time, I'll call up even numbers, class 1. Even numbers, class 1. Final call, class 1, market pigs, final call.
Well, good evening. I'm extremely excited to be here, and what a way to start off with a very good class of hogs here. I'm not going to say they all come to us in the same shape and size and type and kind, and it'll be like that throughout the day, but I try to find the ones with the most positive that suit me the best and work those towards the top and try to describe their differences. I elected to go with the young lady there in the purple with the off-belted gilt. This gilt is stout from her snout back. She's really dense about her skull. She's got a big arm, big front foot in her. When you crawl in on top of her, she is extremely shapely up high and works that back to a hip that actually functions and reaches with her hock and her pastern and rear foot there. She plants and drives. I'm not going to say that she's the boldest in terms of her full rib and down through the lower part of her skeleton there in the middle of her body, but I think that those advantages go to the gilt that's going to be in second, but that hip and hind leg is what I ultimately decided on to use her in that top pair. The young man's blue gilt, I mean, that thing is awful striking from the side. She's level in her top line. She's better in the center part of her body and back through her flank than our class winner is. At the same time, she's the one that gets just a little too restricted from behind as the drive continued. She wants to get a little tighter on her rear pastern, wants to poke them outside just ever so slightly, but a very good place to land there in two. The young man over here with the off-colored gilt that is going to be third. I love this gilt, hip and hind leg. She's striking from the side. She's level spine. She's great in terms of her muscle texture for me. She looks like an awesome breeding gilt. Maybe in this scenario, she just runs out of gas. When she turns, it comes right at you. She wants to get the narrowest of those top three at the base of her chest down to the surface at the same time. She just wants to fight the whip a little bit and just wants to give you an off look every once in a while. I'd like to stouten her maybe about her muzzle and jawline to run her up in that top pair. The gilt coming out here in four probably more closely resembles those ahead of in the top pair in terms of the top side of her skeleton. She's awesome in terms of her back shape, very well prepared and presented, kind of like a one in second though. She wants to get a little more rigid from behind. She's just like the gilt in first in terms of her full rib and her heart. Wants to get closed up there in the lower part of her skeleton. I'd like to change those things about her to work her up. I thought her presence, her muscle, and just her overall balance is what brought her ahead of the black gilt here. This one is probably the stoutest. She's the biggest footed. She's the stoutest in terms of her skull and blade. This gilt just comes to us in a few more pieces in my mind. I'd like to relax her in her top line, make that head and neck come a little higher out of her blade, make her a little more comfortable as she goes straight away from you, make her a little square there to the surface. As we can go ahead and kick out these next few. I kind of talked to these individuals as I pinned them back. Really dense kind of a gilt here. We need to pick her up on her front feet, make her a little square from behind. Young man's blue bear, awesome profiling, needs a shot more muscle. Black-headed gilt, kind of fits the mold of the one there. A couple of spots ahead, lots of muscle. We need to redirect those feet and legs. Really muscular gilt here, a little too harsh in her rib. Let's give these exhibitors a hand as they head back to the pens.
Congratulations to our Class 1 winners. This is your first call. Even back numbers, Class 2. Even back numbers, Class 2. First call. Your Class 1 results: in 5th place, we have Paisley Goss. In 4th place, we have Aubrey Flincher. In 3rd place, Case Kinezic. 2nd place, Coy Mossick. And your Class 1 champion goes to Caitlin Bolt. Let's give all of these exhibitors a round of applause. Odd numbers. Class 2, make your way to the show ring. Class 2, make your way to the show ring. Our random drug test will also be coming out of this class. The 9th place pig out of Class 2 will be our random drug test. Also, like I said, we will be doing a PeeWee Showmanship. So PeeWee Showmanship is for any kids that are under the show age, so 8. And it's $5 to entry, but you do have to find your own pig to show. So if you want to come see me at the table, that's how you'll sign up. Just send that to me. I'll do it. Who's going to sit here and do it? Okay. Yeah, they want to get borrow your chair? Yeah. While we are waiting to start Class 2, I would like to take some time to introduce our judges. The judge placing the pigs tonight is Mr. Corey Raines. Corey hails from Fredericksburg, Texas, where he is an ag teacher. Corey likes to spend time with his wife and his 3 boys, and together they help operate a 30-head sow operation. Corey's boys actively show pigs and cattle at major shows across the country. Corey is a graduate of Texas Tech University, where he competed on livestock and the meat judging teams. Everybody please give Mr. Corey Raines a hand. And then we also have our showmanship judge. Our showmanship judge is Mr. Michael Resendez. Michael comes from Bryan, Texas, but he originally grew up in Madera, California. He grew up on his family's almond ranch, where he and his brothers grew up showing pigs and goats. After his high school judging career, he moved to Brenham, Texas, where he was a member of the Blinn College livestock judging team. He graduated from Texas A&M University, where he studied animal science and was a member of the Reserve National Championship NFP in Spearman, Texas, on the livestock judging team. Throughout his time in college, he worked at Brockman Farms, where his passion for the show pig industry strengthened. After his undergrad, he spent a year as an employee for Transova Genetics. Now he is currently pursuing a master's degree at Texas A&M and has hopes of earning a degree in veterinary medicine. In addition to this, he owns and operates Resendez Show Pigs, a small herd of crossbred sows. His biggest passion in life is giving back to the industry that grew him and working with the future leaders of the livestock industry. Please give Mr. Michael a round of applause. This will be your last call, Class 2. Last call, Class 2. Another announcement, this is for parents and exhibitors. At the very beginning, whenever you came and got your numbers, we also gave you your non-sell form. At the end of the night, please determine which pig you're wanting to sell. You have to sell your higher placing pig, and then put the other one under it and turn that form in to the fair office. Non-sell animals, if you are taking them home, must be picked up Saturday by 9 a.m. or they will go to the floor buyers.
very competitive class here as we get into the second one. And as I said in the first class, they're going to come to us in different parts and pieces. But I think as we start breaking them down, the one that suits me very well in terms of her hip and hind leg, how she's maintained the drive. At the same time, she's fresh and opened up at the top of her blade back through her hip and stays composed there in her top line. This young lady's gilt ultra stout about her jawline. She's a gilt that I think ties in really good there at the base of her neck. Into a big chest floor, and I think that at the same time, these others do a good job at that as well. This one just has a little extra look there in terms of just stoutness and comfortability out of her shoulder and front end. I like that gilt really well. The one that's going to come in second isn't far behind her in terms of some of her outlier pieces. I love the proportions of this gilt. When you stand off from the side, that's the way that I think one needs to balance up in terms of her length of body in relation to her front end length and her hip length. She's ultra comfortable in terms of the angle to her shoulder and her reach off of her front end. Where she started wearing down was from behind a little bit. We started wanting to just pound them in the ground and swivel, and I know I drove them for quite some time, but this gilt, as the drive continued, she wanted to hesitate just a shot there out of her hip. She still stays good in her top line. As I mentioned, this gilt's neck comes really good out of her shoulder. I'd like to change that a little bit about this gilt. Her neck wants to tie a little deeper into her blade there. I'd like to just take that and elevate it just ever so slightly to make that one ideal in terms of that side profile. But that's a big-chested, good-footed kind of a gilt that I think. The blue gilt, I love this gilt's look. I love her comfort from behind. She's a gilt that's ultra pliable in terms of her top line. She looks like she could make an incredible sow. At the same time, in the market ring, where we need to make that one better is coming right at us of the top three. She's the one that's the narrowest in her chest. She's the one that wants to cave in at her knee ever so slightly. As we kick out the gilt here in four, this one is not frail. She is very stout, very dense about her head and skull. She's one that's big in terms of her feet. She goes away from us, and that's why I'd like to change her. She just wants to get a little flatter and narrower there about her stifle as she goes to the surface. I'd like to just change that view at the same time. She wants to get a little uncomposed there in her top line as the drive continued. I told this young man I like his gilt from her blade back extremely well. She's another one that balances and fits. A lot of pieces are really good, but whenever you change, if we could change her from her blade forward, I think she would compete with that top pair. She wants to get a little more frail about her jawline at the same time. She's the one that probably of those top five just looks like the pounds light gilt. Just looks like she's a little shorter in terms of her body length at her hip. And a little quicker in terms of her step. Young lady's Barra that comes out next, real similar type and kind to that one. This one I love his rear leg, his bone's big, his hip is powerful, he's got a lot of shape up high. He's just a little too quick in terms of his overall type and kind for me. We need to stouten his arm and his front foot, spread him in his chest. I talked to these next exhibitors there about their projects as we pinned them back. I like this young lady's gilt. Again, she looks like one that would have fit in that last class, maybe a little better, a little more immature in her look. We need a little more right in behind just to compete with the upper end of this class. This gilt here wants to get a shot longer bodied. I'd like to change that about her at the same time. Her hock placement from behind is just a little wide. The gilt here that comes out next, another one. I'd like to change her balance a little bit, just make her parts and pieces blend a little better to compete in this ultra competitive class. Let's give these exhibitors a hand.
Class 3, odd numbers. This is your first call. Class 3, odd numbers.
Alright, glad I did that because now he knows. Now you know where you're at. So far he's only got right.
Class 3, even back numbers. This is your first call. Class 3, even back numbers. Class 3, this is your final call. Class 3, final call. Coming back for showmanship out of our first 2 classes in our junior division, Brooklyn Brinkman Jessa Bowman, Paisley Goss. In our intermediate, Riley Cook. And then in our senior, Caitlin Bolt, Dylan Brinkman Jr., Coy Mossick, Kaylee Simon, and Aubrey Kovacevic. Your results from Class 2 Market Swine are in 5th place, Wesley C., in 4th place, Carson Schultz, 3rd place, Nathan Meyer, 2nd place, Kaylee Simon, and your Class 2 winner was Miss Riley Cook. Let's give those exhibitors a round of applause. Just a reminder, if your kid would like to do PeeWee Showmanship, please come see me at the table to sign up. It is for kids from the ages of 4 to 2nd grade.
another good class of them here as we get a little heavier in weight. And I think that this gilt, as she initially came through the gate, I love some pieces about her, and then I just questioned myself for just a second. I thought, was that one good enough coming at you? And there may be some that down the line that are maybe a little bolder right at their knee or coming at you with a stronger front foot. But I think in terms of just genuine horsepower, one that's opened up at the base of her chest and through the center part of her cage, and then works that back into a really powerful hip that functions very well. I think this gilt's got to succeed this class. I love her skull shape. I love the athleticism in terms of the way that she just moves with less, so comfortably and less effort. I think that's a really logical place to start that checks a lot of boxes. The young man that's going to be here in two with the barrow, he is stouter in terms of his rear foot and bone. He's stouter in terms of the boldness to the center part of his cage. He just comes to me in just a few more parts and pieces. I'd like to take this barrow and just level and lengthen his hip a little bit at the top side of his hip there. I'd like to stouten him in terms of his muzzle when he comes right at me and getting more width right between his eyes in relation to that young lady's gilt. But I don't know that we've had one come through at this point that is that open right out of the back of his blade and down through the center part of his skeleton. Very well presented pig there in two. The one coming out in third, I thought, I don't know if this one really where it fits, to be honest with you, because that one does have a fast running gear. I love watching one that can move at that pace at the same time. As the drive continued, I wanted to get just a little hingy from behind at that pace, and at the same time, I felt like this one was the least genuine of the top three. Yes, she does have a huge back, but her neck doesn't tie into her blade as accurately. The lower line of that gilt, for me, throws off her balance in terms of her feel. I think in a breeding gilt scenario, she looks incredible from that perspective. Maybe we need to tuck her just a shot today to give her just a little more of an athletic look from the side. But I think a really high quality gilt is extremely well presented by this young lady. The one coming out in four is one that, to be honest, you can probably, I show my cards pretty easy sometimes out here, and this one, I love the front 2/3 of this pig. I thought when she came through the gate, I thought, hey, this one ain't going to get beat. But when you step in behind her, we've got to fix her from the top of her hip to the surface. She gets too wide there at her hock and stifle for me. As the drive continued, I'm not thinking it got any worse, but it darn sure didn't get any better. I love pieces about this gilt. She's the hardest and crispest about her edge. She's awesome about her skull shape. I love the strength of her arm and her front foot. And it's hard for me to sit there and say, I want to say this much positive about a fourth place pig, but for this show judge, I've got to have them better from behind, and we've got to make them better in terms of the way they put their rear feet into the surface, and so that's where this one ends up fourth. The one coming out in five is probably the absolute heaviest duty, biggest footed one of the drive. This gilt, I think, could be one that somebody would want to replicate some of that bone and feature in this particular gilt. I love her skull shape and the stoutness she offers there. She's another one that as the drive continued, we wanted to get a little more uncoordinated from behind. She's the plainest and driest about her top line in terms of the shape she offers us, but I think a pig that offers us some real unique pieces in this particular class. Another one that comes out with all the muscle in the world that we would want at the same time. We need to lay it on her skeleton a little differently for me. She wants to get a little rounder about her hip there, a little flatter in her forerib, but another one that's ultra stout, nice kind of a pig. And the last one that comes out that we're going to talk is another one that's got a lot of shape. I love this one's proportions. We need to pick her up on her front feet, give her a little more angle to her front shoulder there to make her more comfortable as she goes. Let's give all these exhibitors a hand.
If you hit it again, it means that it's muted. Okay, y'all ready? This is your first call for even numbers, class 4. First call, even back numbers.
Where's Hopi at?
I would like to congratulate our Class 3 winners. In 5th place, Braxton Fritcher. 4th place, Emily Cook. 3rd place, Kennedy Howe. 2nd place, Rowdy Smith. And your class winner was Miss Kate Smith. Way to go to all the exhibitors. Class 4, odd numbers, please make your way to the ring. 5. Final call, Class 4. This is your final call for Class 4 market swine.
Very good top pair and a really good class here all the way through. Honestly, a lot of projects we already sent back had lots of quality, and so at the front end of that, you would expect two very nice individuals to lead off the pack. And there again, I'm going to say that I don't see these exactly cut from the same mold, but this bear is ultra durable. He's ultra flexible. His skeleton is incredible in terms of his range of motion from behind. He's a pig when you get in and on top of him. He's opened up really good there out of the back of his shoulder. He's very genuine in terms of his feel and the way they've got that thing presented. The thing that probably sorts him the most for me over the young lady's gilt in second is just the angle to his shoulder, the placement of his blade and his front foot as it comes to the surface, and then just that, I guess, how smooth he is out of the top of his pole all the way into his blade there in terms of just everything fits, and it's more genuine in that regard. Not to take anything away from the young lady's gilt here in second. Ultra good hair and skin, awesome presentation. That one there is skinnier throated. She is tucked up there out of her ear to her blade a little better than the Barra. But at the same time, she's one that maybe wants to get a little tighter there in her top line. As the drive continued, she wanted to come a little less composed from behind. And you guys, if you've watched me judge so far, you know that view there means a lot to me. And as this drive wore on, I think her hip length is just a little shorter. She wants to paddle just a shot from behind. I'd like to stouten her up and maybe her front foot and right down at the surface in relation to that class winner, but I'm not trying to get too critical on the very nice second place pig. The one that comes out in third, awesome proportions from the side. You step off from that pig, and he's got awesome lines, big in terms of his back shape. One that just, when he turns and comes at you, he just can't run with that top pair in terms of genuine width at the base of his chest. And then as the drive continued, he's one that wants to swivel just a shot there out of his hip, become a little less coordinated in terms of the way he gets around the ring. But another very nice, well-presented pig there in three. Young man, I didn't put you fourth because your pig had a bad attitude. There were some other things that I guess had a question mark, but it didn't help you that she just started kind of get pin sour on you. This is another pig that I love her silhouette. I love her proportions. When you get in behind her in relation to those right ahead of her, she was the flattest in terms of her pin set. She's got plenty of bone, plenty of width right down at the surface. I just like to take and spread her right at her pin set in relation to those ahead of her. She is bigger chested. She is bolder than that one right ahead of you. But we need to change that about her at the same time. She's one we maybe need to lengthen her from her blade to her ear. Just give her a little neater look there in front of her shoulder blade. But I think a really high quality one to be in fourth. The one in fifth is one that comes out ultra well presented. Girl does a nice job. One that, for me, just doesn't balance up from the side. She wants to get a little longer in terms of the center part of her body. She's another one wants to kind of stab them in the ground from behind. I'd like to change that about her, especially for one that maybe isn't as stout in terms of her overall broad and denseness that those right ahead of her. I talked to some of these other exhibitors as we sent them back to the pen. Calico gilt here, ultra dense in terms of her skull, maybe as big an arm and front foot as any. We need to rearrange that one in her hip and hind leg and make her more athletic there in that regard. Black gilt is one that kind of just kind of worked her way up. She's another one that's ultra dense, big back leg in her. I love her balance from the side. One that maybe we need just change her plan there in terms of her center body. She wants to get a little drier, a little harder in that regard. Next gilt out, another well-presented pig, ultra big back. We got to loosen her up in her hip and hind leg, maybe stouten her in terms of her feature on both ends of her skeleton, but a very nice presented gilt there. And the last one through here that we're going to talk is very, very muscular, very opened up, lots of shape. We need this one to be more comfortable, maybe lean her down just a shot in terms of her lower line to help her work up. Let's give these exhibitors a hand.
You need another water?
Our Class 4 winners were in 5th place, Kaylee Simon, 4th, Case Kinezic, 3, Rowdy Smith, 2nd, Hadley Howe, and your class winner was Carson Schultz. Let's give all of those exhibitors a round of applause. This is your first call, odd numbers, Class 5. Odd back numbers, first call.
Somebody's gonna remind me to read the second call.
They don't figure it out.
No, the judge had to go to the bathroom, but you can let him. It might be in a different dealer. That's all he gets. No, I think he has to get a different dealer. That's it. Okay. Go sit by me. You bring me some beer? You bring me some beer? Monica was asking me. I was just trying to ask. Yeah. I want to set it right there.
Hey!
You don't have
You hear me? I didn't hear you.
Who's your favorite child? She did experiment.
Every day.
What's the baby's name? Hayden? That's cute. Where's she at? How old is she now? Is she gonna do Little Miss next year? Yay. Uh-oh. Good. Off the shoe.
Class 5, even number back numbers. Please make your way to the ring. Class 5, even numbers.
Y'all are single as well. Is Michael turned off?
You had a rough night.
I feel like Katie would be like, the Michael
I don't blame you. I would say please.
I just texted him.
Brazos Valley. Is it free cat?
This is your last and final call for Class 5 Market Swine. Last call, Class 5.
No, still stop.
This is also a reminder if your kid would like to participate in the PeeWee Showmanship, they would have to be either 4 years old, it's 4 years old to second grade. If your kid is interested, please come see us at the table and we can get them registered.
On here.
You're too old. Candace the iPad. Yeah, she's on the iPad. She's good. She's good. She's on the iPad. She's fine.
166. 166, Mike.
Yeah, she's in here. She's in here. It's not on the paper. You're good.
234.
Kennedy, you're good. You're good.
We good here?
Yes, it's good.
234.
We're good. There you go.
226. 226. 84. 213. 140. 88.
Carlin.
Good.
Right.
234.
only have 4 PeeWee Showmen signed up, so it might not be like 20 of them running around. Yes. That is mass chaos.
You had Eddie.
What?
You wouldn't have had Eddie if we didn't. Pretty late. I mean, you think about it, like,
I got Diet Coke right here.
Just water. Water.
No, one of the Donald Kim's looking for a Diet Coke.
all right, how are you? Donald Kim. See what I can do. Got water. See what I can do. All right. Not a ball line. As long as I do. All my
I like seeing how many people like cash only for the $100.
So where's y'all moving?
She's a peach every time. She takes us like 166. So whatever we go the hot pink shirt. Yeah.
Kelsey went in.
She also loves that. Helsinki and East have 2 weeks in this class, so she might have been showing through Helsinki. Okay, so it wasn't this, it was 2 Helsinki. Jillian has one, and you're right, Grace. You're fine. There, it's her, and she's 16. Yeah, you're right. Yes. Okay. folded. Or, I should get my sister.
Another very deep class, and it has some differences up here on the top end. But I think ultimately there's one that suits me better in terms of proportions, in terms of just skeletal build, and one that everything just matches and blends just a shot better for me. That's the young man's belted gilt here. Is she the one that is the most powerful? No. Is she the one that is the most of anything? I don't know that. But I do think that, in my opinion, she's the one that is built the best. Her shoulder angle is more acceptable there up front. She's one that her proportions fit me extremely good in terms of her length of body. She's starting to wear down. I mean, these gilts are getting bigger, and I've driven them for a little time here, but I'm not making excuses for her because I still think her function out of her hip and hind leg is better than the gilt that I'm going to put in second. Young lady, that is the biggest backed one that's probably come through the ring, and I commend you for that. At the same time, for me, I think that maybe she just pushes the limits a little bit from behind in terms of her width there at the surface. At the same time, she's one that is the shortest from her hip there to her tail pin, from her ham loin there to her tail set. She's one, too, that as the drive continued, I thought that she maybe just pushed and pulled just a little harder out of her shoulder and her blade there. But also awesome in terms of her top line, in terms of the way you've got to put together there. Big-chested, very nice pig to be in second. The one that comes out in third, I think that it has some very neat pieces as well. This one is ultra durable in terms of her hip and hind leg from the side motion there. But when you step in behind her, I'd like to take out one and maybe just put a little more pressure on her inside toe than she does. Of those top three, she's the one that's probably the driest in terms of her flank. She's the driest in terms of where she is in her lower line. At the same time, when we get up there, she kind of wants to get a little dehydrated there in her loin, wants to wrinkle there in her ham loin junction a little bit as the drive continued. Didn't maintain that composure in terms of her silhouette. And I think a very, very good gilt to be there in three. Young lady coming out in four from your blade back. I love this gilt shape. I like the gilt in terms of her foot placement. I like her in terms of her hock placement. When she turns and comes at me, we've got to make her better there at the base of her chest and knee. Of those top four, she's the one that's probably the most tilted forward at the same time in terms of her blade, which allows her to maybe give you that neater look when she comes out of the gate. She's awesome in terms of her skull shape, and they've got her dialed in there in terms of her jawline, but one that we just need to rearrange in terms of that front structure for me. One that comes out in five is another pig I think is extremely good in terms of the range of motion. I told the young man whenever I pinned him and put him fifth, I said, that's a really good pig. She's got good shape. I love her pin set. She just runs out of horsepower at the surface. The carpet doesn't quite match the drapes. In terms of her stoutness of feature in relation to how much bulk she's got up high, that just throws her balance off a little bit for this show judge, but a very nice, well-presented pig there in five. Young lady that comes out in six was one I had to go back and pin. I thought was a very nice gilt in terms of her silhouette, good in terms of her top shape, and well presented in terms of hair and skin. For me, she just gets a little harsher, a little harder from the middle to the lower half of her rib cage. She's got a little swelling there in her node that throws her balance off, but I know it's humid and those kind of things happen whenever we go to pushing on them, but that's a really neat kind of a gilt in terms of her pieces. Awesome in terms of her head carriage. We just need to broaden that one all the way from her chest back in terms of the center part of her cage to work her up. Calico Bear coming out next. This one is a little bulkier, a little denser in terms of his cage. He's good in terms of his muscle up high. When you step in behind this one, we need more of a horsepower to run those right ahead of him. Maybe just lean that one up in terms of his jaw line. And the final one we bring out here, very, very muscular gilt, lots of shape, big in terms of her upper hip. We need that one to just go a little better right down to the surface. Once it pushes her hock and stifle outside of her body wall, a little too much for me. Let's give these exhibitors a hand as they head back to the pens.
You need water or anything?
No, I'm good.
Congratulations to our Class 5 winners. In 5th place was Coy Mossick. 4th place was Kennedy Howe. 3rd place was Jack Bowman. 2nd place, Natalie Smith. And your Class 5 winner was Hunter Knezick. Congratulations to all of these exhibitors. At this time, we would like to call our even number back numbers for Class 6. Even numbers.
No, that needs to go to Ed Savage. Or Jason or Justin, one of them. Justin's in there. Show them what gate it goes to. I was gonna say, do you have that right? He said it was in it.
I also want to take the time to announce those that have been called back for showmanship. In our junior division, we have Brooklyn Brinkman, Jessa Bowman, Paisley Goss, Case Knezick, Macy Lewis, and Charlotte Paul. In our intermediate division, we have Riley Cook, Nathan Meyer, Caden Simon, Chloe Russ, Clayton Balashik, Hunter Knezick, and Kennedy Howe. For our seniors coming back for showmanship, we have Caitlin Bolt, Dylan Brinkman Jr., Coy Mossick, Kaylee Simon, Aubrey Kovacevic, Emily Cook, Kate Smith, Hadley Howe, and Natalie Smith.
On this clipboard? Oh, yep, it's on this one. On that one. I'm gonna.
Class 6, odd numbers. Please make your way to the ring. Class 6, odd numbers.
Hey, so you're doing this one? What's after this?
PeeWee.
And then it's Grand Rock.
And then it's Grand Track. And I'm gonna re-announce it.
And tell him, make PeeWee.
Yes. Well, hey, Uncle Justin. There's only like 5.
Class 6, this is your final call. Class 6, Market Swine, final call. I would also like to thank our sponsors for our premium money for our Market Swine Show. We have Metropolitan Water, Summit Pump, Eric Bonnier, John's Hot Oil, Brookshire Brothers, Metropolitan Water, and Lillian Sankervink. Let's give all of these premium money sponsors a round of applause.
And 165.
We also have some other sponsors for our Market Swine division. We would like to thank the Russell Binky family for sponsoring our Grand and Reserve Champion banners. The family of Jonathan Urbanowski, Jack and Carolyn Howe for the Grand Champion Buckle. The Reserve Champion Buckle is sponsored by SPJST District 1, Mr. Donnie Victrick. Your Senior Showmanship Buckle is sponsored by Metropolitan Water. Intermediate Showmanship is sponsored by High Tech Septic and Construction. Junior Showmanship is sponsored by Danny Lair. And the PeeWee Showmanship Buckle is sponsored by Jason and Nikki Neinendorf. Please give these sponsors another round of applause. This is just a reminder that after the conclusion of our Class 6, we are going to do the PeeWee Showmanship. And then following the PeeWee Showmanship, we will go into our grand drive, followed by all of our other showmanships.
As we get into our final class here, as I've talked all day, they come in different parts and pieces that are so quality that work themselves up and that didn't I guess change suit as we get here into the final class. I elected to go with the young lady's traditional belted gilt here. That one just checks so many boxes for me in terms of being one that's stout and durable, right kind of proportions from the side. Offers just all kinds of shape when you get in behind her in terms of her pin set and the way she hits the surface. I think a gilt that for one of that size still uses her hip and hind leg extremely good. She goes right away from you. She's extremely square from the top of her pin to the surface. Nice place to start. The young man that's going to be in 2, I'll be honest, I had you anywhere from 1st to 7th. And the reason being is because I think this pig has some really neat pieces, some really far-reaching pieces, and then some things as me as a hog breeder, I'm trying to kind of push away from in terms of that thing's skull just needs to be stouter. I mean, it's the only way I can call it. He's too frail in terms of his jaw and between his eyes. I love that thing's elevation up front. He's up on his front feet. His proportions are good. The young man's got his mid-body there kind of dialed in relation to the one that's going to be here in 3. Young lady does a good job of trying to get all she can out of this one. I think this gilt does offer some more raw shape up high. I do appreciate her head and skull shape better than the one that was there in 2. But from a balance standpoint, this one's just showing her age, maybe a shot. She's a little lengthier in terms of her mid-body. And then at the same time, she's wanting to break down on her front end and wanting to fight the whip there a little bit. But the young lady does a nice job of trying to get all she can out of her. The young man that comes out in 4 can be the same thing said about him in terms of his presentation, his ability to get all he can out of this one. This gilt's front 2/3 I really appreciate in terms of her length of body, her angle to her blade, and the way she places her front foot. She's one in this class. Whenever you step in behind her, she just gives up too much in terms of the center and lower parts of her ham. She just, as the drive continued, she started getting just a little too swiveled there at the same time and restricted in her movement in order to work her up. The red one came out, and to be honest, I can say she's the best red pig here because she's the only one I've seen. At the same time, when you really start breaking her down, there's a lot of quality in this particular gilt. She stays extremely square as she heads away from you for a red one. At the same time, in this, even in the crossbred division, I like this gilt silhouette in terms of her mid-body. I love her in terms of her jawline and where that ties into her shoulder. A gilt that's still loose constructed. It's got some muscle. She just runs out of design maybe. In comparison to those ahead of her, we need to elevate that one at her shoulder a little bit. Maybe level her out just a shot in terms of her hip to run up into the top end of this particular class. But very good job with the red gilt. The next one that comes out from her mid-body back, she can run with any of those ahead of her. She's awesome in terms of her shape up high. Her field and where she is in her mid-body is extremely good. She uses her hip and hind leg very well. At the same time, from her blade forward, we need to just change this one to make her a little more show pig appearing. In terms of her head, she just gets a little quicker and a little bit jammed up there and just doesn't have that show pig look as she comes out the gate. But that view going away from you is how she worked into the top 5. White gilt coming out next. I told the young man, like the shape in this gilt. I need to rearrange her in terms of her skeleton. Her old shoulder blade there wants to tilt forward a little bit. Well, throws her balance off from the side and just restricts her in terms of her movement there. Young lady that comes out next, I told her there's some pieces about this pig I'm sure were really good at some point in his life. He's just a little past his prime. He's just a little overcooked in terms of where he is. He gets a little blander in terms of his shape up high. One that just wants to struggle a little bit there out of his hip and hind leg. And the final gilt that comes out, one that's awful shapely on the top side of her body. She's one whenever you step in behind her. We've got to take that hock and jam it back into the plane of her hip a little better, lengthen her hip, and just rearrange that structure there from behind to work her up. Let's give these exhibitors a round of applause on our last class.
Congratulations to our Class 6 winners. In 5th place, we have Ava Poppy. In 4th place, Jack Bowman. 3, Emily Cook. 2, Jaden Lyday. And your class winner was Claire Russ. Let's give all these exhibitors a round of applause. At this time, if you signed your kids up to participate in PeeWee Showmanship, please bring those pigs and the kids to the show ring. PeeWee Showmanship, please come to the show ring. And then Mr. Keith Schrader has something to say about the Burleson County Fair Livestock Judging Competition.
Thank you, Natalie. I appreciate the opportunity to address everyone. I just wanted to extend an invitation to all the kids and parents. We're going to have our livestock judging contest on Friday morning. That's a little different than the past. We're going to move it up a day, hoping to get a little bit more participation from the kids. It's a great opportunity for the kids to learn a little bit more about their projects, hopefully gain a little knowledge in their projects. And the biggest deal is, Burleson County's been very successful in livestock judging in the past. We have a great history, and I want to extend that. We want to keep as many kids involved as possible. So we need more kids in the program. My daughter Cody is going to be taking over the program and the coaching. I'll be standing over her shoulder, probably picking at her and making sure she's doing it right. But I just want to be sure that everybody knows that contest is moved to Friday. Invite anyone who's interested. It's a great contest because it's basically it's more of a clinic than a contest. So we come in there and let the kids learn throughout the contest. We go in, bring a class in, and then we'll talk that class, and hopefully they learn and gain some knowledge throughout the process. So everyone's invited to come out Friday morning. Registration starts at 8. So thank y'all.
One's coming. No, we have 2 more. Thank you. 2 more coming. 2 more. So there's 6. I'm going to go with it.
We are still waiting on 2 PeeWee Showmen. So if you are participating in the PeeWee Showman, please make your way to the show arena.
Well, extremely excited to be out here and to work with your young people through showmanship. Obviously, starting out with the PeeWee Showmanship here before the grand drive. And first and foremost, everybody standing ringside, give all these kids a big round of applause on a job well done and make it a big deal for them. PeeWee Showmanship is something I thoroughly enjoy, and I thoroughly enjoy working with young people and getting them involved in the livestock industry. And I certainly think there's no better place to start than right here, as quick as you can get them walking and handling a whip and handling a pig. All these kids do an extremely good job, and we're still going to make it competitive. But just the fact that they're out here and doing what they're supposed to and working hard is extremely important and valuable for me. There is one particular showman that does an extremely good job, and I'll go ahead and let our queen award her with the buckle. Once again, congratulations to all these young people on a job well done.
Your PeeWee Showmanship winner is Miss Callie Barnes.
What did you do?
Yeah, we got one more.
We're gonna love first place. It was there. Once I have a first, I'm gonna look second place. Make sure that Brandon
Want to bring all second place pigs in? We never done like that. Real.
I would just call it.
I would just first place. Second place be ready.
Okay.
No, don't come. Don't let the seconds come to the call.
At this time, we would like to call all of our first place class winners back to the show ring. First place class winners to the show rings.
I'm gonna whenever they come out, I'm gonna.
Your Class 1 winner is Miss Caitlin Bolt. Class 2 was Miss Riley Cook.
Look, here, I'm gonna give you Grant first, because we'll probably go somewhere. Here.
Class 3 winner was Miss Kate Smith. Class 4 winner was Carson Schultz.
Definitely not Carson Schultz.
Class 5 winner was Hunter Knezik. And your Class 6 winner was Claire Russ. Second place pigs. Please have your pigs on standby at the pins. If your class winner wins grand champion, we will be calling you up.
Okay, y'all can shut them down just a second. I'm not long-winded. I'm not going to give this a long as elaborate speech about anything. I will like to say a couple of thank yous to the ring help. It's been really good. It's been efficient. It's been quick. And so I think you guys should be commended for that in your show committee. So let's give those people a round of applause. Kids, y'all can just shut them down. Just let them rest. Next is the people that are here in this community. This is well attended. If you look around, it's a packed house. It's been that way all day, and that support is what keeps these kids coming. I'm an ag teacher. I don't know if I left that in my bio. I've been teaching ag for 17 years, or starting year 18, and so thank you. And so whenever I've as an ag teacher, it's great to see this presence from a crowd. These kids need that. This thing, I'm not saying is getting smaller or dying. It's getting more challenging because of the other things that maybe these kids get involved in, and with the amount of input time in terms of getting them to this stage, getting hair and skin and showmanship right, and at the same time, the monetary investment that you have to make to get to this point, it's challenging. And so with that being said, the support that you give these kids, not only just patting them on the back or telling them they did a good job, and then maybe also translating that into giving back to them at the county sale or however that looks in your county, that's important. That's what keeps this drive continuing. And so give yourself a round of applause for just being here and being supportive of these kids. I've got one quick story, and if you don't know anything about my family, it's perfectly fine. But I have a son that shows in a walker, and he's a trooper. Like, that kid loves it. This is his sport. This is what he does. And they handed me those chips on the first class, and I dropped the first one, and it made me think. I couldn't find it right at first, to be honest, and it made me think about him. He lost one of those chips at Houston in the green shavings a few years ago, and you would have thought that thing was made of gold, because everybody was like drifting around looking for this thing. They had like all the interns lined up looking for it, and Creighton just sat out there in the middle and was just laughing the whole time because he knew where it was, but nobody asked him. And so I guess what I'm getting at is sometimes you overlook some obvious things and miss the fine details, and those are things I think that are important. There might have been, you may not have turned out to win this class or to be back out here, but it's the life lessons and the little things you probably learned in life or with this project that are important. And I think that we need to keep that in perspective as we move forward with not only show pigs, but everything in general. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and get these things fired back up, and I'll give you some brief comments on the pigs here. They came through all day consistently with muscle, shape, look. I thought that there was some that maybe stood out in terms of presence. There's some that stood out in terms of their feature and their bone and skull shape. And I think that there's one that maybe didn't just overpower you in any one area for me, but that thing's skeleton is incredible. It can fly around the ring. Young lady does an awesome job. Here's your champion.
You need the mic? You need the mic?
Congratulations to Carson Schultz, our 2024 grand champion. We need our second place pig from class 4. Second place pig from class 4. Hadley Howe, please bring your pig to the show ring.
As we dropped that second place in, I remember talking this Gilton class, and that was a very good class. I love this thing's silhouette, her look up front. She just was one I talked about maybe just needing to relax in her top line ever so slightly. There's another one out here I thought pushed that champion extremely good. One that gives you a killer look from the side. Her attitude's terrible, but she's a good pig. It'll be a reserve.
Good job, young lady.
Your reserve champion pig is Miss Kate Smith. At this time, I would like to call back our junior showmanship. We need Brooklyn Brinkman, Jessa Bowman, Paisley Goss, Case Kinesic, Macy Lewis, Charlotte Paul, and Claire Russ.
Pin a number, sending them straight out.
Seven. How many?
7.
Stay in there, coming out.
Again, this is the call for junior showmanship. Brooklyn Brinkman, Jessa Bowman, Paisley Goss, Case Kinesic, Macy Lewis, Charlotte Paul, and Claire Russ. Now that our regular show has concluded, I just want to remind parents and exhibitors to fill out your yellow form. You have to sell your higher placing pig, but make sure you put what you want your other pig to do. Either go home or go to the floor, and then turn those sheets into the fair office.
tremendous group of junior showmen out here, and I was pretty excited when I was standing ringside earlier about the group we were going to get to come back, and it certainly wasn't easy to make it to this point. So I commend all the young people out here that did get here, and then they come back out here and do an extremely nice job. So certainly commend that, and I'd ask everybody ringside real quick, just give them all a big congratulations. If there's any older kids listening, I'm probably going to give you a hint. I'm very, very big on first impressions. I want your pig's head up, back flat, driving at the right kind of pace, and I love intensity and eye contact. If you can just absolutely look like you want to win, I think that stands out so much and speaks volume. To me, there's 2 or 3 of them that are extremely close, and it certainly boils down to personal preference. I'll go ahead and set the mic down and shake the hand of your champion junior showman.
Congratulations to Brooklyn Brinkman on our junior showmanship. If we could have all of our intermediate showmanship exhibitors please make your way to the ring. Riley Cook, Nathan Meyer, Caden Simon, Chloe Russ, Clayton Polashik, Hunter Kinezic, and Kennedy Howe. One more time, our intermediate exhibitors coming back for showmanship. Riley Cook, Nathan Meyer, Caden Simon, Chloe Russ, Clayton Polashik, Hunter Kinezic, and Kennedy Howe. Please make your way to the show arena.
certainly turned up the heat in our intermediate division here. And I guess to me, this division certainly runs 7 deep. There's a lot of different styles, and showmen of good quality come in different shapes, and that's certainly okay. To me, there's a pair of them, and honestly, I wish I could blend them into one, and we'd certainly have a showman that's very, very hard to beat. We'll talk about those two in no particular order. And the first one we'll talk about is the young man in the camo shirt. If you want to talk about somebody that just understands how to maneuver the ring and control their animal and just always be in the right spot, he certainly does a good job. I think when we compare him back to another showman, maybe doesn't just come across as calm and confident. Everything's not maybe quite as smooth. If we could certainly work on just a shot more intensity, I certainly think you'd run away with this deal, because I do think you're always in the right spot and certainly do an awesome job controlling your animal. The other one we'll talk about is the young lady in the peach-colored shirt on the far side of the ring. And I just love her style and her intensity. She certainly hits you like a ton of bricks right out of the gate. And I guess for me, the longer she's out here, maybe somebody that just wants to get a bit more aggressive on the width than what I'd consider ideal. Her guilt certainly wanting to act up as a consequence of that. But she just absolutely catches your eye in terms of her presence and how she presents that animal out here. That's a tremendous group of showmen. It boils down to those two for me. I'll go ahead and set down the mic and shake the hand of your champion. Congratulations to all these kids.
And your intermediate showmanship winner is Caden Simon. At this point, we would like to bring our senior showmanship exhibitors to the ring. We need Caitlin Bolt, Dylan Brinkman Jr., Coy Mossick, Kaylee Simon, Aubrey Kovacevic, Emily Cook, Kate Smith, Hadley Howe, Natalie Smith, Jillian Vicacall, and Jack Bowman. Again, the senior showmanship exhibitors coming back to the ring are Caitlin Bolt, Dylan Brinkman Jr., Coy Mossick, Kaylee Simon, Aubrey Kovacevic, Emily Cook, Kate Smith, Hadley Howe, Natalie Smith, Jillian Vicacall, and Jack Bowman. Please bring your pigs to the ring.
Did
11. So we can just pin.
yeah. We'll pin all these. Pin one right there. Leave that one up there.
Oh, is there only 9 right here?
Yeah. I told them we could make it 10, but they. Oh, you're right.
Dude,
You
we
want
had
mine?
a really good turnout. There were so many people here.
My idea was double these pins, take away those pins, and just make that one ring around there.
Because it wouldn't stick out maybe as far.
Well, you would cut in, cut out, and stand behind the wheel.
Because at the majors, you don't have parents behind the wheel. But I don't think that you should. We could hang water bottles just like they do at the majors. I don't think parents.
Actually, we would need less of those small pins. Because those, then you just have that instead of that back panel.
But we had a really good turnout for being at night.
I figured it would be better. People get off work there every time. Nobody's gonna really, you don't really have somebody, you just want to come to there.
They're all gonna come at 7 a.m. Yes, he actually was. That's why I remember seeing his name, and I guess I just didn't write it down. That was completely on my bad. He was like actually on there. Oh my god. And he was like, you know who I am? And I was like, but you don't have to act like a dick. Like, really? He's not on there? Really? It's. No. Like the Smith girls, and then Wesley's little ex-girlfriend, whatever, she does a really good job. The girl in the purple, Caitlin Bolt, the one that showed for Carson. She does a really good job. It's 9 indoor. No, it's not. That's literally what you're. What is it? 9 door? Not an indoor. 9. I never knew. No one else ever. Are you sure? Ever. I don't like this. Who are we missing?
Maybe they just decided not they're gonna come. I mean, you announce it.
Hey, Coy.
This is your last call for senior showmanship. Last call, senior showmanship.
There you go.
Let's go ahead and give it up for all of our senior showmen real quick. I knew this group was going to be extremely fun to work through. And I was sitting there ringside asking kids to come back. I got to counting on my seniors and thought, oh, this group's going to be stout. And they certainly lived up to the height. And there's a lot of good showmen out here that just do a tremendous job. I think there is some minor differences and maybe some differences in terms of some intensity levels and some people that just weather the storm, if you will, always kind of pop up when they need to and just show off their animal in an extremely high quality way. And I thought coming out of the gate there was two young ladies that certainly just hit me extremely hard. One of them has probably just weathered the storm a little better. The other one sitting off there fighting on a pig and doing an extremely good job. To me, there is one that suits me extremely well. She's just so consistent in every aspect of showmanship, has the right kind of pace, has the right kind of presence, always has her animal where it needs to be. I think this young lady is so talented, and you can drive a lot of miles and not find showmen that are of this caliber and of this quality. I commend each and every one of these young people. I'll go ahead and set down the mic and grab you a champion senior showman.
And your senior showmanship winner is Miss Emily Cook. Thank all of you for coming out to watch our 2024 Swine Show.